I was having a conversation with someone a little earlier on this week about whether boxing is alive or dead, and it's really interesting people's take on this, because I think I live in my little echo chamber on social media, so I follow a lot of MMA accounts, a lot of boxing accounts, a lot of general sports accounts, and the conversations that go on between people do raise an eyebrow. I think we're 50-50 at the moment, where people genuinely believe that boxing's flying, and then other 50% believe that boxing's in a really, really bad place. And I think that the conversation is actually affected massively with people's attitudes towards the heavyweight division. As you rightfully said 2 minutes ago, if you take a look around the whole of boxing, I'm talking male boxing in particular, because the female game's flying. We're getting undisputed fights in there. You're getting number one.
But money's not in the way, is it?
I get that. There isn't politics and stuff that's not in the way. But if you look at the male sport, and you just take the heavyweight division out of the conversation for a split second, and you look around at some of the super fights that we have seen. When the four-belt era kicked off in 2004, right through till 2020, so a 16-year period, we only crowned 4 undisputed champions in that period of time. When 21 came around, we had 4 undisputed fights in that particular year. The year after, we had another 4 undisputed fights. So therefore, in a 2-year period, we've had double the amount of undisputed fights, what you would class as number 1 versus number 2, in the male divisions, more than combined for the last 16 years previous. So boxing in the lesser weight divisions is getting itself together, and it's going in the right direction. Look at what's happened so far this year. 2023, we've had Tank versus Ryan. We've had Haney versus Lomachenko. We've had Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor. If I'm going to talk about Premier Stellar main events.
All in America.
We're getting Spence Crawford. We're getting Inoue versus Fulton. And hopefully...
We had Yard and Beterbiev.
Well, I wouldn't class that as Premier. I really wouldn't.
I would.
No, it's not at all, because Yard hasn't achieved anything. He's not been a world champion, and he's not been number 1 in any division. He was a mandatory challenger, granted, but I wouldn't class him as... I'm talking the top Premier fights where number 1 are against number 2, the Spence and Crawfords of this world. And they're there. They're in the lesser weight divisions. They are there, and they are coming, and we're in a good position. But this heavyweight cloud is just causing this dilution of people's perception of where boxing's at right now. And they are, you said it a minute ago, they're an embarrassment. They're an embarrassment to the sport at the moment, the heavyweights.
Yeah, well, I think I disagree with you. I think Beterbiev and Yard was an elite world level fight, and it proved it on the night.
It played out as a fight.
But it's just my view. But I'm adding it to that group of fights you've just mentioned, in terms of, yes, we haven't had, in all British terms, and we haven't had Bivol. We should have had Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. I agree that's a missing link in the light heavyweight division.
We're getting Beterbiev and Smith, aren't we? Yeah, Smith is a mandatory challenger, and I put that on the same level as a Yard. Yeah. And the winner of that, it will be a 3-belt champion. Yeah. They should be fighting Bivol.
Yeah, I agree. But but I think what it produced, I think we've had a year. Certainly, we are just about to go halfway through the year, aren't we? When we're in Manchester next weekend with French and Crudazerns and Savannah Marshall. Again, that's another super fight in my view in the women's boxing world, and Tasha Jonas again fighting for a world title. So the tap is running. It's very interesting, like you say, the prism of social media, how the debate is at the moment, and there is no question that the public perception is that the heavyweights are letting down the sport. That's absolutely clear. And from my perspective, and probably from yours as well, and everyone else that commentates or opines on fight sports and on boxing in particular, that there is something lacking in the heavyweight division at the moment. There is a stalemate on the board. There is a roadblock there, and it is affected by the biggest money at the top level, and it's frozen the sport for now.
Can I just jump in on that? Because I agree with you as we stand here in 2023. That comment that I made a moment or two ago about undisputed fights and the period of time it takes to make certain things happen, and what we've experienced recently compared to everything in the past. We haven't had an undisputed heavyweight fight since 1999. Yep. We haven't had one at all in the 4-belt era.
Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield.
In 1999. Yes. Yeah. So as we look at it now...
But we did have, and it's not undisputed, but it was the undisputed title fight at the time, Vitaly Klitschko and Lennox Lewis 20 years ago. For me, that was an undisputed
That's fair.
fight. It was that crowned the number one in the world.
And we also had the Klitschko brothers
20 years ago this week. Yeah.
We also had the Klitschko brothers dominating the division, so you can kind of take 10 years out of the division because the two brothers aren't going to fight each other to become undisputed.
Right.
I get that.
Okay. It slumbered. I covered that entire period.
But I
went to Germany 20 odd times to watch Vladimir Klitschko, even to New York twice to watch him against guys who were just not on the same level, and no one was really interested.
But they are now, and this is my point.
This is the key.
This is my point, because I think over the last 4 years in particular, we have had 3 real opportunities to make an undisputed fight. Now, at the moment, it seems that this Saudi Arabian money is distorting people's valuation of themselves, and therefore we are now that's the roadblock. But when Anthony Joshua was the unified champion and Deontay Wilder was the WBC belt holder, there was an opportunity there, and it didn't materialise.
And that's 5 years ago, by the way.
And then that's
5 years ago.
And then we have, obviously, Deontay Wilder losing his belt to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua have an opportunity to make the fight.
Yeah.
That stalls and it doesn't get over the line.
Yeah.
And now
30 months ago, that is.
And now we've got this situation where we've got Alexander Usyk as the unified champion against Tyson Fury. And that's not got over the line.
3 times it's stalled.
Well, so you're not telling me that there's not been the opportunity to do it. And for me, as I look down the weight categories and why the big fights are happening, it comes down to fighter attitude. It really does. If you look at Ryan Garcia and Tank, no world title on the line there. You've got guys that are connected to different promoters, guys that are connected to different channels.
Yep.
You've got one guy in particular that pushed it over the line because he decided to come down in weight, give away rehydration, all that. Ryan Garcia's attitude that day was, I am making a fight no matter what. I want
agree.
the fight.
If the fighters want the
There
fight, we will get them.
So that's the people that you've got to put the pressure on and look towards and say, listen, guys, come on, pull your fingers out.
But once these guys have 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 million in the bank, it comes down to money and ego and the value of themselves, and then it comes down to timing. And the timing is being relied on when the Saudis want it right now. They want it in November and December. They've chosen that. The Fury and Usyk, if they both wanted to, I think could have fought at Wembley.
Of course they could.
You know, they both had their reasons for doing it. Fury's been massively blamed, but I think Usyk as well, and it's shown, he signed with Skills Challenge. He was waiting for a big payday as well. And why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't any of them? But what's happening is it's stalling our sport, and it's stalling the blue ribbon division, because when heavyweight boxing's healthy, the rest of boxing is healthy. But funnily enough, that prognosis has been turned on its head recently, because the rest of boxing's healthy and the heavyweights need a good kick up the backside and need to get moving.